Eugenie Sage.
Speaker. Pleased to take a short call on the Local Electoral Amendment Bill number 2 and to correct an impression that was given by a previous National Speaker. The Green Party is supporting this bill, but we do have some reservations about the gaps in it. Mr Speaker, it's the time of year when candidates are announcing their intentions to stand, including a member of this House who will be a very strong contender for the Christchurch mayoralty. In 2010, we had nearly 4,000 candidates who stood for 1,895 positions in local government. And I hope that we see a similar number of candidates standing this year for our 78 regional councils, unitary councils, district and city councils, because they are a fundamental part of our democracy. And most New Zealanders interact a lot more frequently with local government activities and decision-making than they do with central government. And we rely on local councils to provide us with the necessities of life, with clean water, sewerage, stormwater, libraries, cultural facilities, a lot of sporting facilities as well. So, Mr Speaker, it's really important that we have very competent staff in local authorities and very competent councillors, and that they are elected through a robust and transparent process. And that is why the Green Party supports this bill, because it is making improvements in the transparency, particularly around electoral donations, with, for example, the requirement to declare donations above $1,500. So it should help give the public more confidence in the electoral process because of that. But, as Phil Twyford noted, it is ironic that this government is introducing this legislation when its attitude to local government has been anti-democratic and has been one of bullying and blaming local government. It has undermined local democracy in areas like Christchurch with the excessive powers that Sarah has, weakening the ability of the City Council to make decisions for the recovery of Christchurch. It blames organisations like the City Council for the progress with building consents, but doesn't assist with additional resources. It criticises councils for their levels of debt, yet at the same time it removes things like the regional fuel tax, which were an opportunity to raise revenue in other ways. And that whole approach of not trusting and bullying local government is implicit in the Housing Accord legislation, in the changes to the Resource Management Act, which we'll be debating this evening, and the ability of ministers to override the plans that have been developed by councils in conjunction with their local communities. So it is indeed ironic that this legislation about transparency in the electoral process is going ahead at the same time as the government is hammering local authorities and does not trust them. And while the Green Party supports the bill, we've been disappointed that it focuses very much on electoral donations and doesn't deal with the gaps in the Local Electoral Act around third-party donations. And there is quite a major gap there, and that would it actually allows unlimited spending by third parties to either campaign for or against certain candidates, and that can skew the results of elections. It's not democratic. The gap should have been filled. Denise Roche has a private members' bill which would fill that gap, and it was disappointing that the government members did not support some of the SOPs that we put forward to improve the law there, and nor did they support our SOP which would have adopted more of a partnership approach with local government when local elections are to be postponed when there's an emergency, by requiring not just consultation with the affected council but also their agreement. Because the Green Party recognises the importance of local government, their $4 billion contribution to GDP, their 4% contribution to GDP, the $110 billion worth of assets that they manage. We recognise and value the local democracy that is there at the council level, the local and community board level. We want to strengthen that. We want to strengthen the legislation around the electoral process. We can do that by strengthening the requirements around third-party donations and not just around anonymous donations. But, Mr Speaker, this bill is a step forward and the Green Party will be voting for it.
Tim McIndoe. Mr Speaker, as my colleagues Paul Foster-Bell and Alfred Nara have kindly noted, I was the chairman of the Justice and Electoral Committee at the time that this bill